Are live. We're across from the American Embassy. We are in downtown Toronto. We are in Canada. And we are at the protest against the American blockade on Cuba. Cuba is going through a crisis right now. Lots of food shortages, medicine, electricity, and it seems like it's getting worse. Trump, under the Donald Trump's administration, the health crisis over the last 2 years, things seems to be getting worse on the island because it depends on tourism and remittances. And over the last 2 years, because of the health crisis, people weren't able to travel, and they weren't working. So no money was being sent home. So the decades of American sanction, plus the rise in prices, Cubans are losing hope of things improving. So I'm gonna remove my mic so you guys can hear what's going on, and we'll see if we can learn something. So we are in Canada, Toronto. So let's see. Please thumbs up, share, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. It's Opinion Guru TV and we are live. So I'm gonna remove my mic so you guys can hear what's going on. So it's Opinion Guru TV and we are live. Please thumbs up, share, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. So I'm gonna remove my mic and you guys can hear what's going on.
the blockade now. Hands off Cuba. End 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 the blockade now. Hands off Cuba.
You are what?
Hands off Cuba.
I don't understand.
Look,
Hey, hey, U.S.A.
go on YouTube. YouTube.
Yeah, but you are an influencer?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You work for whom?
No, myself. It's OpinionGuru TV. That's the name of the channel.
Excellent. The problem is that we have had problems before.
I know.
Anti-Cubans.
I know.
So
I know.
Don't worry.
Because I realize that, that's why I come.
Okay.
But go on YouTube. YouTube.
Yeah. And you are?
Yeah. See, I'm live, OpinionGuru TV.
Okay.
See, and then see, look, U.S.A. sanction and Cuba protest.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And look. Right?
Okay,
so don't worry, don't
Okay,
worry.
okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I know,
Don't worry.
I understand.
Hands off Cuba. End the blockade now. Hands off Cuba. End the blockade now. Hands off Cuba. End the blockade now. Hands off Cuba. End it now. 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 U.S. blockade. 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 End it now. Thank you all for coming out today. This coming week, at the United Nations General Assembly, once again, almost all the nations of
So guys, welcome OpinionGuru TV, and I just had to explain myself. They were wondering who I was. They got scared that I was like anti-protest. I told them that I'm just a media guy, YouTube, doing some YouTube journalism, because a lot of these big stations, big media outlets, they will not carry stuff like this. So you know, the guru always carry stuff like this that hardly anyone else would shed light on. So the guru shed light on these things. The guru shed light on these things. So I just let him know that I'm just here to document what's going on and to bring awareness, because a lot of people don't know of the suffering right now in Cuba because of the embargo and because of the increased sanctions that were put in place by President Trump. Barack Obama, President Obama took some off, and then when he got in, he put more on. He reversed most of it, if not all, and put more on. So they are protesting against it. Not sure if President Biden is gonna help them out, but this is what it's about. I'm gonna remove my mic so you guys can hear for yourself what's going on.
Hey, hey, USA! Hands off Cuba! 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 Hands off Cuba! Hands the blockade now! 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 Hands off Cuba! Hands off Cuba!
Folks, comrades and friends, we're going to start gathering around here. We're going to take a picture at the end, but we first have a few speakers. Not many, you'll be pleased to hear, but we do have a few for today. So let's get started. My name is Miguel Figueroa, and I'm with the Canadian-Cuban Friendship Association of Toronto. So I'm pleased to act as MC today. Just before turning it over to our first speaker, I just want to say that this rally, this monthly rally, which we have every single month on the last Sunday of every month, is particularly important, not only because of the dire situation that exists in Cuba, the unrelenting campaign of U.S. imperialism to asphyxiate the Cuban people, to strangle the Cuban economy, and the toll that this is taking on the Cuban people, whether it's for basic foodstuffs, medical supplies, educational materials, and so on. But despite all of that and all of that, the Cuban people remain strong, and we should never forget that. If there's, if you were to think of any country in the world that has faced adversity, has faced unrelenting pressure for over 60 years, and has stood firm in the face of all of that, there's no better example than the Cuban people. They survived the special period in the early 90s, and they will survive this attack, but it's absolutely important that we mobilize around the world in solidarity with Cuba. This event this month is also particularly important because in a few days, on November 2nd and then completing on November 3rd, there will be the 30th consecutive UN General Assembly resolution to condemn the U.S. blockade on Cuba. And it's not a mystery. We know what's going to happen. The entire world, save U.S. imperialism and maybe, I don't know, the Marshall Islands, whatever, maybe Israel, will vote in favor of that resolution. And once again, U.S. imperialism will ignore that resolution. Biden and Blinky, what's his name? Blinken. I like to call him Blinky. They all go around the world talking about the international rule-based order. But when it comes to something like this, they ignore those rules. They make up their own rules to serve their own interests. But when the entire humanity, or virtually the entire humanity, we know that the last vote last year was 184 to 2, and it may be even larger majority, plurality in this vote. We need to send a message to those people across the way and the interests that they represent in Washington and on Wall Street, that the people of Toronto, the people of Ontario, the people of Canada are opposed to this blockade. We know this from surveys done over and over and over again. People say that this is unjust, that the Cuban people have a right to determine their own future. They have a right to their own destiny, to their self-determination and their sovereignty, and that this is a crime against humanity. And we voice that again today, militantly, and actions this whole week, starting yesterday and continuing right up until the vote on November 3rd, demonstrations and protests and rallies are being held not only in Canada and the United States, but indeed right around the world to show solidarity with Cuba. And so we are part of a much larger movement, and we're very pleased that everybody has been able to come out today for this turnout. And now I want to call on the first speaker. We don't have many, as I said before, but we have quality if not quantity. And so first I'm going to call on Julio Fonseca, who is the president of the Juan Gilberto Gomez Cuban Residents of Toronto Association. Please give a big hand to Julio.
Thank you very much. As I was introduced, my name is Julio Fonseca, and I am with the Association of Cuban Residents in Toronto, Juan Gilberto Gomez. Thank you so much for your support. Our families are really being asphyxiated by the blockade of the United States, which has more than 60 years being applied to the Cuban families. I travel a lot to Cuba, and the situation right now of the Cuban people is difficult. It's very difficult. It is this act of war, the blockade, is an act of war against the Cuban people. It is very sad to see the lineups of Cubans in the sun for hours just to get something to eat, because the United States, with all these political sanctions, prevents Cuba from obtaining the supplies that it needs for its people. However, no one in Cuba has been abandoned to their luck. Cubans are being taken care of, but our solidarity is very important today. It is very important that we express our support for Cuba. On behalf of the Cuban people, on behalf of the Cubans here in Toronto, in our association, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much.
¡Viva
¡Que viva
Cuba!
Cuba libre!
¡Viva!
¡Patria o muerte! ¡Venceremos!
Thanks very much, Julio. As always, our next speaker is Barry Weisletter from Socialist Action.
Thanks, Miguel. Comrades and friends, great to be here together in this United Front display of solidarity. Socialist Action, Ligue pour l'Action Socialiste, which I represent, is here in solidarity with revolutionary Cuba, demanding that the U.S. lift the trade embargo immediately and that Ottawa demand the same. Instead, Ottawa is contemplating, well, they've already sent military equipment to back the Haitian National Police, and they're part of an endeavor by the so-called group, the core group, to invade Haiti and to uphold another dictatorship that they have established there for some years. But we're here to draw particular attention to the situation in Cuba. And you know, in Havana, there's a very large and famous billboard, and it reads, and I quote, "Around the world, millions of children sleep on the street. None of them is Cuban."
¡Viva Cuba!
And why is that true? Because in Cuba, decent housing is a right. Quality education is a right. The highest standard of healthcare is a right. Childcare, good nutrition, transportation, all of these are the rights of all Cubans and enjoyed even by visitors to that island. Women and children in Cuba come first. Racism is illegal. For generations, Cuba has been a beacon to all oppressed nations. The main obstacle it faces is a vicious trade embargo. Yes, an act of war imposed by the Yankee imperialists for more than 60 years. So why an economic war by the American giant against tiny Cuba? Why a punishing embargo that has cost Cuba $154 billion since 1961? An embargo tightened by Trump and continued by Joseph Biden. This demonstrates, doesn't it, my friends, that between the Democrats and the Republicans in the United States, there's hardly a dime's worth of difference between them. Why has Washington defied the nearly unanimous call by the United Nations 30 years in a row to lift the embargo, especially now as we continue on through this period of pandemic? The answer is clear, and it shows the weakness of the empire. The example of revolutionary Cuba is a moral threat to capitalism and imperialism. Cuba's internationalism, its egalitarianism, its very sovereignty poses a moral and political danger to a system that is choking humanity and nature. The Cuban revolutionaries, including Fidel Castro, Dilma Espin, Che Guevara, led millions of workers and farmers to power. They expropriated the capitalists, as Che said, right down to the nails in their shoes. They sent teachers across Latin America and the Caribbean. They sent aid and engineers to earthquake victims in Pakistan. They defeated the armies of apartheid in Angola, asking nothing in return. The Cuban workers' state to this day is not marked by the massive privilege, violence, and corruption that characterize so many of the Stalinist regimes in Eastern Europe. It is a dictatorship of the proletariat. It is an economic democracy, and we defend it as one of humanity's greatest achievements. Imperialist hands off Cuba. Lift the blockade now.
Hands off Cuba!
Hands off Cuba. Lift the blockade now. Who's next? Miguel?
Thanks very much, Barry. And our next speaker is Samantha Hislop, who is the co-chair of the Canadian Network on Cuba. And she's just recently elected to that post, and we're very pleased that she can be with us today. So Samantha, take it away.
I'm Samantha Hislop from the Canadian Network on Cuba. What more can I really say after these excellent speakers? It's been said. The U.S. blockade against Cuba is psychological and economic warfare. It's been going on for 60 years. Multiple generations of Cubans have now been affected by this. The blockade kills people. It's ruining people's lives. It's not allowing people to reach their full potential. It separates families. And we need to be here for Cuba and show up for Cuba. We need to keep going. That's all I have to say. End the blockade now.
End the blockade now!
Thanks very much, Samantha. And I guess it's our final speaker today will be Victoria. She was one of the youth members on the J Brigade last year, and this past year, and we're very pleased to have her with us to say a few words. She's going to be speaking about the new Code of Families that was just adopted, one of the most progressive pieces of legislation anywhere in the world. So please give it up for Victoria.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention also a positive few words about the family law. So, which means that same-sex marriage and same-sex couples can also adopt kids now in Cuba, and also they can get married. And they have also some beneficial laws for families, not just about not just concerning about the LGBTQ, but inclusively the family of Cubans. Which is great because, as one of my comrades mentioned, that housing in Cuba is a human right, while here it's above 70% of the homeless people are part of the LGBTQ community. So I would argue that in Cuba it's probably the best to be LGBTQ. I just wanted to also say that if you know anyone in the community, mention them that because Cuba needs a lot of tourists right now, that they can go there. It's a safe place to go. They have hotels specifically for LGBTQ travelers and tourists, and please also mention them about the rallies. I feel like as someone who is part of the LGBTQ community, it's our obligation to come out here and support Cuba because Cuba stands for human rights. This is just one example how Cuba embraced human rights. So yeah, please mention it if you know anyone in the community that Cuba is great. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Victoria. Yes, we'll do that. We have one more speaker, and that is Compañero Morteza. Everybody knows him. He leads our chants every month. So please give it up for Morteza.
Thank you, sisters and brothers, for coming out. I took some notes from the Foreign Affairs Minister of Cuba, Bruno Rodriguez Parillas, in terms of the billions of dollars damages done to Cuba's economy. Between August 2021 and February 2022, just the damage, because we must have all heard the shortages of electricity in Cuba and the counter-revolutionary forces and all saying that Cuba is falling apart and that's why they cannot generate electricity and all that. Only in this period of time, between August 2021 and February 22, it cost Cuba $185 million more than the previous 6 months, just in the energy and mining sector. I just mentioned another one. It's interesting. Cuba's representation to UNESCO, we're talking about culture, freedom of expression, the imperialists keep talking about, and human rights. Cuba's representation office to UNESCO, their financial account was closed down by a French bank. Cuban embassy's account in France was closed down. These two examples, I believe, are good enough to understand the animosity of the US government and its allies. I say its allies because Canada, even though it votes against the criminal US economic, financial, trade blockade this coming week, we hope that they're gonna do it again like last year. But this same government of Canada has gone along with the tentacles of the Helms-Burton Act of 1996, whereby they do not allow Airbnb and Western Union to work with Cuba. It's against the law in Canada to go along with the tentacles of the Helms-Burton Act. It is against the law, Canadian law. Resolution has been passed in the Parliament of Canada not to go along with the extraterritorial tentacles of the US criminal blockade. But still the government of Canada does. I'm not going to repeat myself. I mentioned it last month, where the government of Canada allowed a convicted terrorist to come to Canada and give press conferences and give lectures about the quote-unquote human rights and democracy and women's rights and youth rights in Cuba. This is a shame. Shame. There is no place for the likes of Posada Carriles and Orlando Bosch in this country. They are not supposed to be permitted in this country. They have to be arrested right off the bat because they got blood on their hands, and whoever is assisting them to bring about their lies against Cuba, they have to be held accountable according to Canadian laws. That's why we are here to say, hands off Cuba, end the blockade now.
Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now!
Well, thanks very much, Monteza. This basically brings to an end our speakers for today, but we're not finished yet. First of all, let me just say that Elizabeth Hill, who's the president of CCFA Toronto, sends her regrets today. She couldn't be here because she is in Cuba this past week, and she won't be back till Monday. To remind everybody that next month, on November 27th, we will be having our monthly picket again. We urge you all to come out and bring more people, because every time the crowd gets larger and larger, this is very positive. We don't know what the weather will be like at the end of November, but regardless, bring your hats and your overcoats and your gloves, but come out for that rally on Sunday, November 27th. So thanks again for everybody coming out. Just before we start, we're going to do another round of a few minutes of a picket line. But before that, we're going to grab a photo, a group photo, and we ask everybody to get over there because we want that bestial monstrosity across the street to be in the background. And we'd like a few people to take pictures. But here's the deal. If you take group shots, you must make sure that it gets sent to CCFA and whatnot, so that we can use it on social media to publicize. We also want to send it down to our friends in the States, Bridges for Peace, and so on and so forth. So please make sure that those photos get forwarded. Thank you very much. Let's take that shot, and then we'll continue the picket line. Thank you.
Hey, hey, USA, end the blockade now! 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 Hey, hey, USA, end the blockade now!
Thank you very much. Let's continue the picket for a few more minutes, and then thanks again for coming out. Monteza?
Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! 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 We're gonna do the picket. Picket finishes at 2 o'clock.
Opinion Guru space TV. Right?
Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now!
Ya yo hablé con él.
Hands off Cuba!
Sí.
End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Folks, we have our voices recuperators. We are coming to the end of this rally this month. So let me hear you. Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now! Hands off Cuba! End the blockade now!
Say.
Hands off Cuba!
Perfect.
Hands off Cuba! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Cuba! Hey, hey, USA, end the blockade now! Hey, hey!
with bigger voices next month, if not before that. Thank you all.
So it's Opinion Guru TV. Thanks for watching. Please thumbs up, share, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. It's Opinion Guru TV, and we are live at the Cuban blockade protest. They want the end of the decades of sanction from the United States towards Cuba. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching Opinion Guru TV. Please thumbs up, share, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching Opinion Guru TV. We are out.